What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with a Destiny 2 update, and we get a bunch of information about Shadowkeep. So this time Bungie jump in, and they show us all of the new armor sets that we can pick up in October. They talk about changes to the Director, changes to the Crucible, maps that are going to be taken away, new maps, updates to Sandbox abilities, and then we get a look at some pretty interesting new mods that we're going to find inside of the Garden of Salvation raid, an update on the community challenge, and a bunch of other stuff. So guys, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video, but now let's get into it. Now, the first thing to touch on before we get into any This Week at Bungie updates, it would appear that we can expect a new trailer next week via the Tokyo Game Show. PlayStation have a pretty big presence over there, and they'll be having their media briefing on September 12th, so that's next Thursday. In the listings for that, there is a new Destiny 2 Shadowkeep trailer. So that's going to be pretty exciting stuff. We're not entirely sure what's going to be in the trailer yet. It's possible that Bungie could do a kind of narrative-focused thing, some kind of story teaser, or maybe give us a more in-depth look at things like Vex Offensive, Nightmare Hunts. It's anybody's guess for now, but it will be happening next week, and so, as always, I'll keep you posted here on the channel. But also, with the community event taking place this week, Bungie tweeted and said Callus is beginning to take notice of your community challenge achievements. A few goals are down, but there's more to go. And so we can see the escalation protocol and override frequencies are done, but we're just under halfway with the Nokris kills, about halfway with Zol, and the same for Hive kills on Mars. However, Bungie did say that Callus is ready with the Friday reward if you complete the challenge before reset tomorrow. And so, if we can get all those Nokris, Zol, and Hive kills on Mars, then the first week of bonus rewards inside of Menagerie could potentially begin this week, but essentially it will have to be done before Xur arrives tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see if we get it. If not though, and we get it done before the weekly reset, which seems pretty likely at the least right now, then we're going to get one bonus reward with another one added every week to the Menagerie up until the end of the season. And so, I'll keep you posted with the progress on this tomorrow. Now though, getting into This Week at Bungie, they talk about an awful lot of stuff. We're going to be having a Bungie bounty for strikes, and this is happening on Xbox Live, so it'll be in the Heroic Strike playlist on Tuesday, September 10th, from 3 till 5 PM PDT. And Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, as well as Pete Parsons, the CEO of Bungie, will be active in the Strike playlist, and Bungie say, if you get matched up with these Guardians, and they decide that you held up your end of the fight, they'll award you with an emblem that you can use to prove it. This is also going to be our first look at the Year 3 Bungie bounty emblem right here. So that's pretty cool. You can check further details out about it in Bungie's blog post. Now though, Bungie jump in, and they talk about a bunch of PvP and Sandbox changes. So initially, there is going to be a director update for PvP. We can see an image of that right here. They've removed the quick play and competitive nodes from the director. If you're looking for an experience like quick play, they've added classic mix, and that's a connection-based playlist, including control, clash, and supremacy, but then competitive is replaced by 3v3 survival. This awards glory, and they've added a survival solo queue that also awards glory. Then we've got 6v6 control as its own playlist, as well as the 6v6 rotator and the weekly 4v4 rotator. And this will have game modes like clash, supremacy, mayhem, lockdown, and countdown. Bungie say they will be taking a few maps out of the rotation, and the plan currently is to actually rework them, but it will include Dead Cliffs, Legion's Gulch, Retribution, and Solitude, and these are going to be removed from all playlists in the game. Bungie say they also made a pass on playlists and they removed some of the maps that don't work particularly well, so Equinox is now only featured in Scorch, Mayhem, and Breakthrough, and Firebase Echo is only in Supremacy, Mayhem, and Breakthrough. They do add though that they're introducing Widow's Court, Twilight Gap, and a new PvP map called Fragment, and this one takes place in the Infinite Forest, so pretty interesting looking map there. But of course, heavy ammo is now shared only in 6v6 modes. Once a player picks up heavy ammo, their teammates have a limited amount of time, which is currently 7 seconds, to interact with the same ammo crate to get the heavy ammo. If the other team pick up the crate, it will turn red to indicate that you cannot pick up the ammo during this period. They do say that each player will get less heavy ammo from shared crates than they do from unshared crates in 4v4 and 3v3. But then for ranked systems, streaks, and floors, they say Glory, Valor, and Infamy streaks have been made more resilient. Instead of resetting your streak, losses will now reduce your Valor and Infamy streaks by 1. And then for Glory streaks, it will be decreased by 2. So you can still lose Glory, but if your rank is at or below Fabled, you can't lose Glory if doing so would drop you below that rank. They say that in Season 8, they're mapping out skill ratings to Glory ranks, with the lowest end of the scale mapping to Guardian 1 and the high end mapping to Legend. As you play in the survival playlist, the Glory system will accelerate you at the rank that corresponds to your skill rating. If your current rank is below where your skill rating says you should be, you'll earn extra glory based on the criteria above. so that you can get your expected rank faster and lose less glory so you don't fall farther away. Meanwhile, your skill rating is continually adjusted based on your performance, shifting the system's understanding of your expected rank, and causing the glory system to respond by pulling you toward that rank. The result should be that over time, your glory rank will become an accurate reflection of your skill, and it also means that teammates of different skill will experience different glory adjustments from the same survival match. So that's a bit of insight into some of the changes that we're going to see in PvP. It's a kind of more detailed look at some of the quality of life stuff in particular, but here Bungie talk about buffs to subclasses as well as nerfs. So initially we have the Night Stalker's Way of the Pathfinder. So Vanishing Smoke, it gives 1 stack of Heart of the Pack to all allies on hit, grants plus 34 to armor, recovery and agility, gives weapon reload speed and handling, which stacks up to 3 times, and increased invisibility duration from 7 to 8 seconds. That's a pretty solid buff to that, but for provision, killing tethered enemies creates super orbs that increases agility, armor, and recovery for allies. Damaging enemies with your Guardian reduces the cooldown of your smoke bomb by 6% per damage tick, and making allies invisible will give you grenade energy by plus 17.5% per ally. For Mobius Quiver, of course you fire the super multiple times, and it deals massive damage to tethered targets. They've added the old Provision perk to naturally be part of Mobius Quiver, so killing tethered enemies creates super orbs and grants stacks of Heart of the Pack for allies, and they've expanded the range of Heart of the Pack from 20 to 30 meters. And then we have Shadow Shot Super, so that's the top and the bottom path. The damage has been increased from 150 to 250, so it's a one-shot kill in PvP, and they've improved tether accuracy near obstacles, with suppress on hit being more consistent. So those are buffs just to the Night Stalker right there. But then we have Sentinel, this is Code of the Protector, so for Defensive Strike, all kills while Overshield is active grant melee energy for the player with the shield, and this is based upon enemy threat level from 5%, so minor enemies, to 25% for players and bosses. For Rallying Force, where melee kills heal nearby allies, the heal has been buffed from 10 health and 10 shields to 10 health and 20 shields, so that's a 50% increase. For Ward of Dawn, they've increased the health versus supers. Most supers will require that the whole thing be dumped on the ward to destroy it, but will usually not kill the player inside. And Ward grants Weapons of Light when passing through, which is 35% weapon damage for 15 seconds, and grants an additional super orb, so auto-generated orbs now grant the same amount of super energy as regular super orbs. That's all sounding pretty good to me, but then we have Shield Bash, which now suppresses the target hit and any enemy within 2 meters. So basically enemies that are immediately next to the target that you actually hit. Then we've got a couple of things for Warlocks here. So for Voidwalker's Attunement of Hunger, Nova Bomb leaves behind a damaging AoE pool, and the initial explosion damage has been increased by 15%, with lingering damage increased by 15% as well. That's a pretty decent Nova Bomb buff by the sound of it. But for Well of Radiance, it will grant an additional super orb, and auto-generated orbs now grant the same amount of super energy as regular orbs. And so those are just the buffs to subclasses right there. We do have some nerfs, so for Way of the Trapper, for the Night Stalker, damage sharing for the Night Stalker player specifically has been reduced from 100% to 50%, and now all allied players have 50% damage sharing on tether. For the Middle Tree Night Stalker, True Sight will now last 3 seconds, down from 9 seconds, and for Shattering Strike, after performing a flawless execution, your melee attacks have a longer lunge range and weaken enemies, and when they adjusted this, they did unintentionally end up nerfing it to only last 3 seconds, but they have prepared a fix for that to go live shortly after Shadowkeep. As we mentioned the other day, they do point out that the Titan Rally Barricade now provides a large increase to reload speed for the duration of the effect, and no longer automatically reloads weapons from reserves. And then for Lunafaction Boots, it also provides a large increase to reload speed, but for the duration of Well of Radiance, and once again, no longer automatically reloads your weapons. There are adjustments to how much super energy will be granted by orbs and kills, and so for a super orb, that's an orb dropped by another player's super, there has been a 50% reduction in the amount of energy that we'll get as a player. We'll see the same reduction for Masterwork orbs, and then a 25% reduction on the energy granted from kills and assists, and that's on miners, elites, mini-bosses, bosses, and players. Bungie do say though that the hope is that players will coordinate to be able to earn supers at similar rates, as well as some of the new gear, but these are kind of base adjustments that they're looking at. There are going to be bonus damage buff changes, so damage effects that apply to all of a player's weapons simultaneously no longer stack. This doesn't affect single weapon buffs like Rampage, Kill Clip, or exotic weapons that increase their own damage, but buffs that provide bonus damage will still exist simultaneously on the player, and in the event that one of the highest multipliers wear off, the next highest will be used instead. So the change affects things like Empowering Rift, Frontal Assault, Guiding Flame, Sun Warrior, Inertia Override, Well of Radiance, Lumina's Noble Rounds, and Weapons of Light. But for Frontal Assault, bonus damage is now plus 20%, and that was previously plus 25. It's the same for Sun Warrior, but then bonus damage from Well of Radiance is 25 from 35, and for Weapons of Light is plus 35, where it was previously plus 25. They've also adjusted enemy debuffs, so incoming PvE damage from Shadow Shot is plus 30, where it was previously plus 35, for PvP is plus 50, where it was previously plus 55, and the effect no longer excludes power weapons though. They've normalized the increase for PvE damage from things like Tractor Cannon, and it's going to be plus 30 in PvE, but plus 50 in PvP. Incoming PvE damage from Hammer Strike is now plus 30, where it was previously plus 50, but the duration has been increased from 6 to 10 seconds in PvE. And then for Shadowing Strike, incoming PvE damage is plus 30, where it was previously plus 50, and the duration has been increased from 6 to 10 seconds in PvE once again. Of course, they are reducing damage resistance inside of PvP, and they break down some of the numbers for that, so that'll be linked in the twab below, but it definitely makes for some pretty noticeable changes in the game. So let us know your thoughts about those sandbox changes, an awful lot of stuff to break down there. Of course, we'll have to see how they interact with new pieces of gear, new abilities. There is one hell of a lot of stuff changing in the game. Now though, Bungie show off a bunch of the armor sets that we can expect to see. This is for the sake of clarity right here. But for the Garden of Salvation, they show the raid armor set, and of course this is the one that's been a lot of conversation about recently. It is the Omega Mechanos set from back in Curse of Osiris, but we can see right here, they do actually have some kind of holographic glows on them, very much like some of the raid ornaments from back in D1, and so while there has been conversation about them being kind of reworked armor pieces, I think those glows are actually pretty cool personally. They won't necessarily change your perspective, but I'd definitely love to get your thoughts on that. Pretty cool glows, but then of course there are the Dreambane armor sets, and these are acquired from activities on the moon. The Substitutional armor set, which is acquired from seasonal activities, free season rank rewards, and premium season rank rewards. We have the Phenotype Plasticity Universal Ornament set right here. I think these things look pretty awesome personally, but there is the Iron Will armor set, so this is the new Iron Banner gear for next season. And one that we possibly weren't expecting, but the Empyrean Cartographer set. These are universal ornaments, so you can apply them to any pieces of gear, but they're acquired via the Eververse store. For TWAB though, they finish by teasing that Graviton Lance will be getting a 30% PvE damage increase across the board, and they'll be giving us further details on those kind of weapon sandbox changes next week. Now though, let's talk about a few more things that have been leaked from packs. Specifically, we've got a couple of mods to take a look at. However, spoiler alert, they do give us a very vague idea about some of the mechanics inside of the Garden of Salvation raid. So you've had your warning. Right here, we have the enhanced Voltaic Mote Collector, active only in Garden of Salvation, but you gain an overshield after you collect 5 motes. This mod's effect does not stack with other copies of this mod. And so considering this is only active inside of the raid, it is giving us a little bit of a tip-off of one of the mechanics that we can expect to see. Of course, Mote Collection will make you think of Gambit and Gambit Prime, and it looks like it's a concept that Bungie are pushing into some other types of activity. I'm sure it's going to be a little bit different from how they work inside of Gambit, plus they are voltaic motes, but it could be linked to another mod that we see here. Once again, it gives us an idea of some mechanics that we might see. Gain an increase to weapon damage while within 5 meters of an active Vex relay. This time, multiple copies of the mod do stack to increase the benefit. That is a relay defender focus bonus, so possibly there's going to be a mechanic where players need to defend certain parts or relays on the map, and then there could be all kinds of other things going on. But of course, if they're connected, maybe it'd be the case that you have to kind of collect the motes and then deliver them to the relays or something. Sounds like they're going to be doing some very interesting stuff with mechanics, so let us know your thoughts about that. We did see one other bonus, which is an enhanced Voltaic Ammo Collector, and that greatly increases the chances of finding heavy ammo when you have the Voltaic Overflow buff. Multiple copies of this mod stack to increase the benefit. Personally, pretty surprised that Bungie have allowed players to see so many of these different bonuses. especially when they're kind of giving away or teasing mechanics. A lot of those perks sound pretty strong as well, and so having appropriate builds for the raid definitely looks like it's going to be more important than ever before. So that is the new stuff that I wanted to round up right here. The final thing to mention is that just yesterday marked the first anniversary of the launch of the Forsaken DLC, and of course that's where we lost our good friend Cade 6, but also where we discovered the Tangled Shore and the Dreaming City, and chased down Aldrin. Forsaken was definitely a pretty big highlight in not just Destiny 2, but also the franchise Destiny. It does however blow my mind that it's already been a year, and of course since then we had the annual pass. 3 other content drops, and now we're talking about Shadowkeep and Year 3. Absolutely crazy stuff, and to all of you guys who've stuck here on the channel as well. The growth we've seen over the past year, especially when Forsaken launched, but also continuously throughout the year, thank you guys so much for all of the support that you've shown. Here's to Shadowkeep and beyond. For now though guys, thank you as always for tuning in. Let us know your thoughts on the stuff that we covered in the video, but if you have enjoyed this one, then feel free to drop me a like down below, as it really does help me out on the channel. And if you're new around here, you can get subscribed to keep posted on Destiny 2, the news, guides, and that good stuff. But otherwise, thank you as always for tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.